Today, we're pulling back the curtain on one of the most clever and honestly, one of the most psychologically damaging financial scams out there right now, the closed-loop casino. It's a digital heist that doesn't need to hack your computer because it's designed to hack your confidence. We're going to break down step by step how these broker imposters use simulated profits to just bypass your logic and get you to authorize a complete seizure of your life savings. This isn't just a story about a bad investment, it's the anatomy of a perfectly crafted illusion. All right, let's dive in.
You know, this slide gets right to the heart of the paradox. We're all wired to fear loss, right? But inside this predatory system, the biggest danger is actually the illusion of a huge sudden win. A spectacular winning streak on some new platform you've never heard of, that's a Trojan horse. It's not a sign of success, it's a weapon, and it's engineered to completely disable your skepticism. That is the exact moment the scammer knows they've got you. That sudden rush of wealth triggers a neurochemical high, a blast of dopamine that makes you feel brilliant, savvy, and totally in control. But in reality, you've just stepped onto a rigged stage, and the director knows exactly how this play ends.
You know, a lot of smart, cautious people think they're playing it safe by starting with a small test deposit. You tell yourself, hey, I'll just put in $250, see what happens. But that test win is exactly what the predator is counting on. When that $250 magically turns into $1,000 on your screen in just a few days, that's not proof the platform is legit. No. It's the master key that unlocks your trust and your own cognitive biases. It builds this powerful, false confidence that the system works, and that the only thing holding you back from life-changing money is the size of your deposit. That initial, carefully manufactured success is the bait that leads you straight to total capital liquidation.
So, where does all this actually happen? To be perfectly clear, we are not talking about the real stock market or legitimate crypto exchanges. We are entering the world of the simulated market. This is the technical core of the fraud. The trading platform itself is a complete fabrication, a sophisticated digital mirage. It's often built on something called a white label platform. Think of it like an off-the-shelf scam kit that can be branded for any fake company. It's designed to look and feel 100% real, with streaming charts and flashing numbers that seem to mirror what the real markets are doing. But none of it is real. It's a closed-loop system, basically a video game where the scammer controls your score.
This entire scam architecture really hinges on a powerful psychological exploit called the information asymmetry trap. Think about it. Financial markets are incredibly complex, and that complexity can make anyone feel overwhelmed. So when a confident, friendly expert comes along and offers a simple shortcut, a special algorithm, a managed account that just works, our logical defenses they drop. The scammer exploits that feeling of being out of your depth. They position themselves as your guide in a confusing world, offering a simple, fake path to wealth that we're much more likely to accept because, well, the real thing is so hard to grasp. And this chart just lays out the difference so clearly. Let's look at that first row. Platform. A real regulated broker gives you a gateway to public markets. They're a licensed middleman. The broker imposter, on the other hand, operates on a white label closed loop simulation. Your money never actually enters any market. It goes straight into their pocket. Now look at their goal. A real broker's goal, ideally, is your long-term success because they make money on commissions from your trades over time. The imposter's goal is not profit, it is your total capital seizure. Finally, their key tactic. A real broker offers professional risk management tools. The imposter's key tactic? Weaponized, simulated profits, just numbers on a screen with zero real-world value. Let's be absolutely clear about this because it's so important. This isn't about a scammer trying to make a few $100. The endgame of this entire operation is capital seizure. The whole system is designed to psychologically pressure victims into liquidating everything they have, draining retirement accounts, taking out loans, even remortgaging their homes to pour it all into the fake platform. The financial harm is catastrophic, but the psychological trauma of realizing your entire financial future was just a line of code on a scammer's server, that can be even worse. It can destroy a person's ability to trust their own judgment for years. Okay, so now let's break down exactly how this heist unfolds. We're going to dissect it like a clinical intelligence operation, because that's really what it is. This is not random. It is a systematic, multi-stage process designed to methodically dismantle your financial and psychological defenses one by one. Understanding this anatomy is the most critical step to recognizing it and, of course, protecting yourself from it. The heist almost always follows these 5 distinct phases.
It kicks off with step 1, the incentive anchor, which creates that initial desire. That leads to step 2, the guided entry, where you make your first small commitment. Step 3 is the longest and most important phase, the simulation, where they manufacture trust through fake wins. This all sets you up for step 4, the extraction, which is the demand for your real money. And it all ends with the final inevitable step, platform evaporation, where the whole thing just vanishes without a trace. So phase 1, the incentive anchor, usually uses what you could call lifestyle porn. You know those social media ads with luxury cars, beachfront villas, and promises of secret trading strategies. They aren't trying to sell you a product, they're trying to trigger a primal greed reflex. Then comes phase 2, the guided entry. An account manager, a friendly, professional-sounding voice, gets in touch. They offer to manage an account for you for a tiny entry fee, maybe $250. See, they're not looking for a big investment yet. They're looking for a micro commitment. The moment you deposit that first small amount, you've psychologically shifted from just watching to actively participating, and the hook is set. And now we enter the heart of the deception, the simulation phase. As soon as your small deposit is in, the scammer gets to work on the platform's backend. This isn't sophisticated trading. It's literally an admin typing numbers into a database. They manipulate the figures to show you these consistent, incredible gains. Your $250 becomes $800, then $2,500, maybe even $5,000 in just a week or two. You see the charts going up. You get daily alerts about your winning trades. This isn't an investment, it's a simulation. But because you see the proof on your screen, your brain accepts it as reality. The scammer is banking on your dopamine loop, getting you high on the feeling of winning and making you crave more. Okay, once you're fully convinced the system is real and you're on the edge of a huge financial breakthrough, the extraction phase begins. Your broker calls you with an urgent, can't-miss opportunity. A huge market event they can cash in on, but only if you act now and scale up your investment. They pressure you to deposit your life savings, $20,000, $50,000, whatever you can get. After you do, the final phase kicks in almost immediately, platform evaporation. You try to withdraw your massive profits, but suddenly there are problems, a withdrawal fee, a tax clearance payment, and account verification cost. These are just last-ditch efforts to squeeze more money out of you before the website goes down, the phone numbers are disconnected, and your broker vanishes forever. So we've seen the technical what of the scam, the fake platform, the 5-stage process. But to really understand why it's so devastatingly effective, we need to look at the psychological why. Why does this work so well on so many smart, careful people? Well, it's because these criminals aren't just exploiting financial markets. They are running a clinical exploit that targets fundamental bugs in how our brains work. They are hacking your confidence.
This is the key question, isn't it? Why does a screen showing rapidly increasing numbers make us ignore massive, obvious red flags? You know, red flags like a multi-million-dollar broker using a generic Gmail address, or pressuring us to make a life-altering decision in the next 5 minutes. The answer isn't really about greed, it's about how our brains are wired to process success and reward.
The primary psychological weapon they use against you is something called confidence bias. When we see ourselves winning, our brains have this powerful, automatic tendency to connect that success to our own skill, our own intelligence. We don't feel lucky, we feel savvy. We feel like we finally made a brilliant move that everyone else was too scared to make. The scammer knows this. They manufacture the win, and then they just sit back and let our own ego do the rest of the work. We basically fall into a state of intellectual submission because questioning the expert who is making us rich feels like we're questioning our own good judgment. So this triggers a really powerful state of cognitive dissonance. Your logical brain might notice a red flag and whisper, "Hey, wait, this seems too good to be true." But that quiet, logical thought is competing with the intense pleasure signal, that dopamine rush, of seeing your money multiply on screen. The brain is hardwired to solve this conflict, and it almost always does so by siding with the reward. The good feeling of winning literally becomes more powerful and more persuasive than any fraud warning. Your hand has already hit send on the wire transfer before your analytical brain has even had a chance to process the risk.
So the crucial point to take away here is that the scammer is not some financial genius. They haven't found a secret way to beat the market. They are hacking your aspirational drive. They tap into that universal human hope for a better life, for financial freedom, for security for your family. They mirror your own ambition back at you and then cruelly use that very ambition as the lever that blinds you to the whole con. It's a profoundly cynical and just incredibly effective psychological exploit.
All right, now that we understand the system and the psychology, let's talk about defense. This is not a hopeless situation.
You can actually make yourself completely immune to this attack by using simple, powerful, and non-emotional rules. This is about empowerment. It's about building a regulatory shield that a scammer simply cannot get through. These are concrete, actionable steps you can take to identify and neutralize these threats immediately.
These are the undeniable, absolute red flags. Let's run through them. First, promises of zero risk. Let me be blunt. There is no such thing in legitimate investing. Risk and reward are two sides of the same coin. Anyone promising zero risk is selling a fantasy. Second, guarantees of 5% weekly. Legitimate finance can't and won't guarantee profits. I mean, if they could, they wouldn't be calling you. Third, pressure to act immediately. This is a classic tactic to bypass your rational thought. A real opportunity will still be there tomorrow. And finally, and most importantly, an unregistered or offshore broker. If they aren't licensed by a major regulator in a reputable country, you have to assume it's a trap. There are zero exceptions to these rules.
Here is your weapon. This simple sentence is a tool you can use to end the conversation and expose the fraud. I mean, you should memorize it. I only trade with brokers regulated by, and here you insert your country's main regulator, like the NFA in the US, the FCA in the UK, or ASIC in Australia. Please provide your ID number so I can verify it on their portal. This creates what's called regulatory friction. A real professional broker will give you this number instantly. It's a point of pride and a legal requirement. A scammer, on the other hand, will get evasive. They'll get angry, shame you for not trusting them, or claim regulations are just for amateurs. Their reaction tells you everything you need to know.
And here is a practical, physical test anyone can run. If you're ever curious about a new platform, just perform the withdrawal test protocol before you commit any real money. Step 1, deposit a tiny amount you are fully prepared to lose, say $50. Step 2, make 1 or 2 small trades. Step 3, immediately, maybe the very next day, request a full withdrawal of your entire balance back to your bank account. And now step 4, await friction. If they process it smoothly and quickly, that's a good sign. But if there is any delay, any unexpected fee, any technical problem, any excuse whatsoever, it is a confirmed trap. End all communication right then and there.
So let's bring this all together. We've dissected the anatomy of the heist, from the anchor to the exit. We've explored the psychology it exploits, targeting our own confidence. And we've built the defensive shields you can use to protect yourself. This whole complex explainer can really be crystallized into one single, powerful mental model that you have to internalize. The critical difference between screen profits and real money.
This is the core mantra. This is the single most important takeaway from all of this. Say it to yourself until it is second nature. The flashing green numbers you see on some unregulated platform are not real. They're an illusion, about as tangible as points in a video game, designed to manipulate your emotions. Real profit is money that is sitting in your regulated, insured bank account, accessible by you at any time. Until the money's there, it just doesn't exist. Never, ever confuse screen profits with real money. So here is your defense mantra. 3 simple rules to live by. Let's lock them in. 1, I check the license first. Always, without exception, verify the broker with your national regulator. 2, I test the withdrawal first. Run the protocol before you commit any serious capital. And 3, if they promise a win, I walk away. Guaranteed profits are the #1 signature of a predator. Internalize these 3 steps and you will be protected.
We'll end with the answer to this question. This entire complex fraud, the sophisticated simulated profits of the closed-loop casino, the precise psychological manipulation, it all boils down to one foundational exploit. It's a system built to weaponize your own confidence bias against you. It manufactures a win to make you feel smart, and then uses that exact feeling of being smart to lead you into making a catastrophic financial decision. The only way to defeat a system that targets your emotions is to remove those emotions from the equation and rely on a cold, hard, external process, regulatory auditing. Your feelings can be hacked. A regulator's public database cannot.